Hey everyone, this is Melody with Design by Melody, and I am here with the third part of this unpacking series this week. Now, my room is still far from finished because I need to do some organization, but my room is pretty much unpacked, and it's unpacked in at least a manner that I can do some work in here. I've got all of my supplies in my room, and I am, well, with the exception of one box. There's one missing box, and I know it's missing because I'm missing something out of it, which has to be in our garage because all of the rest of the boxes that are not unpacked are still in the garage. But for the most part, minus this one box, my room is totally unpacked. Now, I do want to reorganize the white shelves, but today I am working on unpacking these large shelves. And what I do on these large shelves, I have all of my Etsy shop supplies, I have all of my kind of big craft supplies, I should say, and tools, and then I have all of my albums. So these shelves are the ones from IKEA, and if you missed either of the last two parts of this series, I will link them in the description box below. But basically what I'm doing is I am setting up the shelves on this large system to kind of fit the need I have for them. So as you saw, I was just measuring how tall the shelf needed to be in order to have my albums on them, and I'm unpacking the boxes one by one and really kind of putting them together. And I'm talking to myself, as you can see, and I think I'm talking to you guys too because I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing. And I was really doing this piece by piece. I have this mountain of boxes kind of set up right below the camera that you can't really see. You can see the tops of those boxes, but you can't really see the boxes themselves. And I keep looking at those boxes going, okay, what else do I have and where is it? And I'm just kind of organizing as I go. I have, as of right now, the right side of these shelves that you see, that entire right side, which is kind of the tall tower of shelves, that's the tallest section of it, has all of my Etsy supplies. And I've got my my shipping supplies on the bottom, and then now I'm putting my file boxes in that middle section. And I'm just putting the shelves in as I go. Now I have to kind of count the peg holes to make sure that my shelves are even whenever I'm putting them in. But that is one reason why I really like these shelves, because it doesn't matter which room you use them in or how you use them. You can always make them fit your need. You can always make them have really small shelves. You can make them have really tall shelves. You can make them have a whole bunch of shelves on one side and not a whole lot on the other side. You can really make it fit your needs just by setting up the shelves at different heights. So it was kind of nice when I was unpacking the albums because not many albums fit in a box, and I could really get a couple boxes out of there very quickly. The things that you're seeing me set off to the right side that's off the camera view is the things that are going to go in the white shelves or the white cubes that I had got from Michael's. Those are a few things. The cubes are already pretty much as is, but there are a few things that I had maybe purchased or gotten in the mail or something like that, or just had been using whenever I was in the process of packing. And so they just kind of got thrown in boxes. And so a few of those things that are there need to be put into the white cubes at some point in time. So I'm setting those off to the side. And just the same, if you see me go off to the left of the camera view, that's where the closet is. And there are a few things that are going in the closet, such as gift wrap and fabric and things like that are other craft hobbies that are not scrapbooking and not my Etsy shop, but those are just other craft hobbies I have. Plus I also have a pile to the left of the screen that's projects like Kaylin's schoolwork photo books that I do. I have two that I need to do and get caught up on. So those are all going off to the left side. So the right side is more organizational things. The left side is my closet and work in progress projects. So that kind of gives you an idea of why I keep going off to the left and the right. Now, the left also is outside my room in the hallway, and I'm putting all my empty boxes out there. So every time I was emptying a box, I was putting it out there. On this shelf, it's going to be partially albums, but it's also going to be like my old planners and maybe a couple mini albums that I had worked on, and then a couple 6x8 albums that I kind of had been putting together. So those are going to go there as well as the albums themselves. Eventually, I'm going to have this entire shelf be albums, but it's not quite there yet. Also have our wedding album, which is the one that's kind of leaning to the side there, that black one that's leaning to the side. That's actually our wedding photo album, not our wedding scrapbook album, but our wedding photo album, and we probably have 400 or 500 pictures in that album itself. But I really like having that album. Our photographer put it together for us, and I absolutely love it. as I'm going through things here, or as I'm unpacking things, I'm also going through them. And there are a few things that I realized, like empty notebooks or notebooks that I could be utilizing for something. I'm a notebook person. I love purchasing notebooks. So if I find a notebook that's been sitting there that has never been used or has been used partially, I'm trying to pull it out so I can go ahead and utilize it and maybe get rid of it. I'm a very, I wouldn't say kind of frugal person, but I really don't like to waste things. I probably spend more money than I should, so I can't say that I'm really frugal in that sense. But I really just don't like to waste things. I like using things to their max, and making sure I utilize it as much as possible before I throw it out. I don't like throwing things out. I like to either recycle or reuse them or just figure out a different way to utilize it and make it useful. And that's probably why I have so much stuff in my scrap room. So everybody that's been to our new house, and that's kind of seen my scrap room has been like, oh my gosh, you had so many boxes, especially the people that helped us move. They were like, holy moly, you have a ton of boxes for your craft room. And I'm like, well, yeah. The thing is with scrapbooking especially, there are a ton of little things that you can accumulate. You don't actually need a whole lot of product in order to do scrapbooking, but it accumulates, and it accumulates very quickly. It doesn't take much to go ahead and accumulate, 5 paper pads and die cut packages and cutting resources such as, a silhouette or a cuddle bug or a paper trimmer or scissors or punches. I mean, there's so many things that you can accumulate, and it's just so quick to do it. And most of those things are quite heavy and bulky. Even though there's a ton of small little pieces, it ends up being, I don't just have one stamp pad. I probably have 30 stamp pads. I don't have just one stamp set. I have 150 stamp sets. I don't have just one pack of die cuts. I have 50. So it gets to be quite extensive when you're actually packing and unpacking scrapbooking supplies. Oh, and there's Ernest, and he realized I was filming, and he was like, oh, no, wait, gotta get back. He did not want to be on camera, but he was kind of looking at what I was doing and seeing where I was. Now, this is really kind of the last room in our house that's being unpacked, and it's because I knew it was going to be such a task. And there were other rooms in the house that needed to get unpacked first, such as bedrooms and such as our living room and our kitchen. And so this is also one that I didn't want to just throw together. I wanted to really take my time and put it together. And as you can see, this is a different day. I've got different clothes. My hair is straight. It's just a different day. I was setting up my phone to go ahead and watch something and listen to something as I was going. Now, before in my old scrap room, this is a change. I'm changing how these shelves are organized, but pretty much everything that's on the shelves is very similar. But the shelf there with those 12 by 12 iris cubes, or not cubes, iris containers are actually, those were under my desk last time in my old scrap room. And I found it difficult to get them in and out, and I just wasn't utilizing them. So I'm going to put them over here on these shelves, and I'm also moving my stamp sets over here. I've got a shelf with those iris containers. I have a shelf with supplies here. It's got my microphone on it. It's got my, something fell, so I had to find it. My little peg fell. That's why I had to move things in order to find it, but I finally found it. I've got my microphone, I've got my cuddle bug, I've got my Cricut, and I've got my label maker on that shelf with the tools. And then I've got my stamps above it. I wanted to have my stamps kind of at eye level so I could find them. Before, they were on my little dark cubes, but the dark brown cubes, but those are going in my closet, and I don't want to put my stamps in my closet so I'm putting those here. And then I've got my Project Life cards on top of that. Those were also under my desk in the old scrap room. Now, what I'm considering, and I haven't totally made my decision, but what I'm considering is on the shelf that those Project Life cards were on in my old scrap room, I'm actually going to put all my die cut storage. I had kept those at one point on top of my white Recollections cubes, but I'm going to put my my little caddy with all my pins up there and my twine and things like that on top of those Recollections cubes, and I'm going to keep my die cuts right here on the bottom shelf of my desk, I believe. I haven't totally made that decision, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So that's why you're seeing a few things rearranged on these shelves. that weren't there in my old scrap room. My philosophy in my old scrap room was to have all of my scrapbooking supplies in my white cubes, and just to be able to go straight there for my scrapbooking. Well, I found that I feel like things were kind of tight in there because I think they were overloaded. Again, I say I have too much. I have a ton of supplies, so it doesn't surprise me that I felt like they were overloaded. But because of that, I'm expanding a little bit and putting some of those supplies on these shelves instead. But I'm keeping it to this middle section of shelves because I feel like it's right centered behind my desk. I can turn around and grab a couple things and then I can go ahead and put them up. But I also like the way that it's displayed. I like the way that I've organized my stamps. I like the way that I've organized my project life. And I think with it having it eye level, and not on a shelf or under the desk, it'll make me remember to go there and use it. And I can just keep them right on the shelf and kind of rifle through them and find what I'm looking for, and then keep on moving. The die cuts, I'm always going to go for. It doesn't matter where they are stored in my scrap room. And I also think they look nice on the shelf under my desk because they're in these wire baskets and they're in little 4x6 iris containers. So I like the way that they look. So I just think it's a different way to have things organized, and we'll see how it works. As I mentioned when I was unpacking at the beginning, this right side is all my Etsy shop stuff. So I've got, so it's kind of, I guess it's kind of difficult. The bottom is shipping. This shelf that I'm unpacking right now is going to be supplies to make new product, and the shelf above that is going to be products that I've already got in process, like things I've cut, but maybe I haven't put them together, or orders that I have that I'm still working on. And then the shelf above that with the blue baskets and the black like photo boxes, those are product that's already finished. And then the shelf above that, which right now has a white basket on it, it's going to be moved. That's the one that has projects that are kind of in process. The shelf above that, though, is going to be supplies that may be extra bags or extra things that I've made or different tools and things like that. And that's going to go up there. Now, the shelf that's above, that's empty right now at the top, that's the one that has the extra supplies and things. And I am going to be working through those boxes and really kind of paring them down. At one point, I was using those boxes, which are not there right now, but you're going to see me put them there in a moment. I was using those boxes to really help me organize the different product lines that I was carrying in my shop, and I don't really use them anymore, but I have never unpacked those boxes. I just took out what I was going to continue using and then left the rest of it sitting there. There's a couple things in there that I don't offer in my shop anymore, and a couple, things that are maybe just outdated and I've reworked. So really the boxes that are going to be above on that top shelf right there that's empty at the moment, those are probably going to change in the near future. It's just for right now, that's where they're going to go, and I'll probably expand and put more inventory up there as I continue to grow my shop. I had closed my shop for about a month and a half, and so a lot of the supplies that I had in stock or inventory that I had in stock kind of sold out, and so now I'm working on rebuilding. So I'm going to have multiple inventory shelves whenever I actually get to that point again. I'm just kind of sorting through the things that were in boxes on the floor. This process is a lot of me going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I do understand that these shelves look quite full at the moment, but they're extremely functional. And I'm finding, as I continue to work in my room, as I continue to organize, and as I continue to, sorry, I was trying to have to pull this shelf down, and this is the very, very top shelf that I'm putting together at the moment is where I keep excess stuff, things that I'm not going to access at all, but just excess supplies, like maybe extra packs of sequins whenever I already have my little sequence trays full. Just things like that are going to go on that very, very top shelf. So I'm kind of getting to a point here where everything is pretty much unpacked. I still have things on the floor, but those are things I'm sorting through and trying to figure out what I want to do with, or projects that I have in process. But the shelves themselves are pretty much done. And again, as I said, I understand that they look quite full, but they're extremely functional, and there are things on there that I'm still going through. And it doesn't look quite as full when you look at the room overall. Looking directly at the shelves, they do look really, really full. But again, I'm still working on them, and it works for my needs. It's extremely functional, and it keeps everything off the floor once everything's organized anyways. And that's exactly the way I like to work. I like to have everything up and off the floor. So thank you so much for joining me today. In the next couple weeks, I'll be doing some organization videos on my actual recollections cubes, but that is it for now. Thank you. Bye.